What's going on? Welcome back to the channel. So today we're going to talk to you about Rezolve AI. I want to go over some of the data points, break it down on what is really moving it and whether right now is a good time to buy or not. Before we get into any of that, make sure you guys hit that thumbs up. And with that, let's get right to it. So Rezolve is down 5.43%, 387 the low, 424 the high, and 6.8 million shares being traded. So not necessarily the best. You're not really seeing that much institutional attention today. So 2 transactions on the secondary market above $100,000, and regrettably both are sells, one for 272, the other one for 174,000. So big money's not really buying the Rezolve dip. A lot of that is coming from algorithmic trading, so the volume potentially and arguably it could be kind of unjustified, but still what is causing today's push lower is because of challenger job cuts. Came in at 153, forecast of 73. So this was definitely not what people were expecting, and the market generally wants negative data, right? Because then that justifies rate cuts. But anything horrifically bad such as this is more of a cause for concern. So at the end of the day, this spooked a lot more people rather than anything. In general though, this shouldn't be a surprise because in October, this data is from October, we already knew many companies that were going to be doing layoffs, and that's what's included in this data point. So at the end of the day, it is what it is. The market just wants to find some reason to essentially go down. But Rezolve did put out news yesterday, and honestly, I like it. So Rezolve AI accelerates US expansion, announces appointment of former Microsoft executive 𝗪𝗧𝗪𝗧𝗪, if I'm saying that right. But this is exactly the type of news that I was wanting, and it's actually kind of short term for the most part. So this individual is going to be beginning January 2026, and it looks like Q2 2026 are going to be expanding, looks like in the States and Europe. This is a very good catalyst. Problem is that it's a crappy market circumstance, but for those of you that are believing in Rezolve bigger picture, this is honestly very, very positive, and potentially enough, this might actually get me to buy a little bit more. I know I mentioned in previous videos that roughly around $3, or from more of the technicals, that's where I would be a buyer, but I really do like this news. That's one thing that Rezolve has always really struggled with, is really kind of entering the American market, and through this appointment, it's might be very good, right? Because this 𝗪𝗧𝗪𝗧 individual, I'm sure that they have a lot of good connections that they can actually do that. And in this news, it does not bring up Tether. So this is legitimate, them entering into the American market, not through Tether. And that's been, I think, my also concern, is that they are really relying on cryptocurrency. So this honestly is very positive news. I like this. It is just unfortunate timing with the market. But nonetheless, like I said, if you do believe in Rezolve and what they are doing, this is a pretty good catalyst, as probably the best thing that could have come out at any time right now. But at the time of doing this video, shorts are increasing 142,000 shares. 8.7% of the free float is being shorted. Works out to be 13.5 million shares overall being shorted. Cost of our average sitting at 11.5. Short score is 65.7. So shorts obviously are taking advantage of the grayness in the broader market, but if we kind of look at this, they're not really doing too much. So from the teal line, they kind of just flirting back and forth. They're not really doing too much. So as I mentioned, most of the volume is coming from algorithmic trading. Looking at the options, 250,000 in calls, 36,000 in puts, and then 54% of all the options being done are bearish in nature. One thing to take note of though is that technically the market's like on a hunt for just very high multipled stocks, and this is something I did bring up in my video whenever it was. So even though I really like this news right here, this is why Rezolve is also getting hit a little bit more, is because of their multiple. So since they're not kind of whatever right now profitable, you kind of have to look at the PS ratio, and their PS right now is 202, so extremely high. Even based on a lot of their peers, they're considered very overdone. So I think in general, if you believe and think that their kind of growth is achievable, especially from their last earnings, then it might kind of justify somewhat of this multiple. But just keep that in mind, that the market's kind of hunting stocks such as Rezolve to really bring them down. From a bull standpoint, you see a consensus for it to be kind of above 4. Bears are anticipating for it to be sub 4. So you kind of have that spectrum. So far, only 3 transactions on the dark pool. So dark pool, often enough used by shorts. And so clearly with shorts doing what they're doing, it is fair to assume all 3 of these are linked to them. Right now with it at 392, it is trading between these 2 points. So this S1 and this S2, 397, best case scenario. Ideally, it closes above that today. If not, you'll have 313 as the next strong support, and then 179. If it somehow gets to 179, that'd be insane. The world would pretty much have to be ending. That's obviously an overreaction, but that would be a pretty good deal if you ask me. Aside from that, on the actual chart itself, this could be one attributing factor why algos are really suppressing Rezolve today, is because it broke below that 100-day moving average. So it's kind of showing a lot of signs that it's losing momentum. There really hasn't been that much in articles really coming out either about Rezolve. So despite everything and how much it's gone down over the last couple months, it's still not on a lot of people's radar, which is kind of, again, rather unfortunate. But ultimately, it is currently just wedged bound between that 100 and 200-day moving averages. So hopefully over the next couple of trading days, it's able to fight back and get above the 100-day moving average at the very bare minimum, because if it does stay below that for 2 consecutive days, that usually does signal more consolidation. So nothing positive, I guess, about that. Market position, you see a little bit of willing buyers, but that for the most part is pretty much it. So Rezolve is one of those weird stocks that honestly, I'd actually much rather have a lot of institutions trading it and getting it involved, because then that might actually stabilize the stock price a little bit more. But clearly, I think the fact that institutions aren't buying right now goes to show that they are hesitant about this right here. It would be very advantageous. I know they have a couple events coming up that they're going to be speaking at. I think one is RBC, other one is MKM, if I remember correctly. But Rezolve, I feel like Dan, if he comes out and just does some interviews or even just some videos of him explaining like what this means and what their plan is, I feel like that could really reinvigorate some buying. So, but he has to be very cautious, right? Because with those pending lawsuits, you can't be pumping or trying to artificially push the stock price. But at the same time, I feel like anyone would be able to jump all over this news and really explain what this does mean for Rezolve, especially for revenue, right? Because if they can forecast some revenue, then a lot of analytical individuals such as myself can start plugging that in and kind of determine like where it should be price point wise. So let me know your thoughts on Rezolve. Don't forget to hit that thumbs up and subscribe. I always greatly appreciate that. One final thing, I did create a new Stacked account, and so instead of Patreon, I moved over to Stacked, and it is only for, and it's going to be $1 only for until the end of today. And so today is Thursday, November the 6th, and so I had this promo going on for 24 hours. After that, it's going to go back to the regular price. So if you are interested, sign up. Again, it's going to be $1 only, grandfathered in. So definitely take advantage of that while you can. So about 12 hours left or something. So sign up for that. Link in the description below and also the comments. With all that said, appreciate all of you guys watching.